Thank you, councillors. Our next presenter is here. Although it hasn't been quite 15 minutes, we're all happy to resume the meeting. Good. Thank you very much. Now, Terry.
Welcome. Thanks very much, Mr Mayor and councillors.
Hang on, one moment, sorry, Terry.
We've resumed, we came out of standing orders.
Resume standing.
Here's a motion that we...
Councillor Asvari moving the motion to resume standing orders. Councillor Hazelton seconded.
Suspend standing orders.
Suspend, sorry. Councillor Hazelton, yes? Yep. Councillor Asvari, no comment to that?
No.
All in favour?
Suspended.
Carried. Thank you. Now, Terry.
Thanks very much.
Motion carried.
And hello to everybody. I assume you've all got my submission in relationship to funding of Mactier Park. I just want to make clear now, I'm not representing the Tatura Community Plan Committee here at this meeting. I think Carl Walters or someone's coming along a little bit later to do that. I'm just representing, this is just my views as a member of the community. So I'll basically be reiterating what I have said, but as you may be aware, the original Mactier Park Master Plan was completed and approved by Council in 2003. And that plan we started preparation of that in 1998. And we conducted an enormous amount of community consultation and engagement prior to that approval being put in place. Over the following 4 years, some key features of that approved plan were constructed. So that was all sort of done under the auspice of the Revitalisation Committee at that particular point in time. Then in 2010, the Tatura Community Plan Committee was formed, and that program was prepared, and again it indicated that the number one priority from the Tatura community was the landscape management plan for Mactier Park and its implementation. Following a Council decision or direction, further consultation was carried out by the Tatura Community Plan Steering Committee in 2012 that again included extensive community engagement. That plan basically was the same, or had a couple of additions, the RSL oil and so forth, but enormous consultation was again carried out to get that done. That plan's never been approved, so it was submitted to Council in 2012 and has never been approved, even though a couple of aspects of that plan have been implemented, i.e. the RSL works and the toilet block last year. But basically, we cannot go any further with the implementation of that plan because of access to VicTrack land. I'll come back to that in a minute. As I said, the implementation of the plan still remains the community's number one priority, as detailed in the latest Community Plan 2015. The existing landscape plan comprises the following features: increases the size of Pristine Park and improved playground equipment. Tatura has no major playground equipment. There are bits and pieces scattered with the school and so forth around the place, but there's some minor playground equipment in Mactier Park. But really, the new plan actually has enhanced playground equipment and also teenage playground equipment, which is very important. There's provision of an amphitheatre-like conditions to improve outdoor entertainment potential. So what we'd be doing would be raising the area as part of the plan, which will look down on the rotunda and make that the centre of the park itself. It involves the relocation of the skate park. Some councillors mightn't be aware, but the skate park in Tatura was the first skate park in the city before the one at Victoria Park Lake, and it was always intended that we actually enhance that and move it to another location, and to Lambra I think we're going to get our skate park. Unfortunately, the skate park is still there, can't be shifted until we actually acquire VicTrack land. It's not in a very prominent position, and as far as I'm concerned, it's not in a safe position for a skate park. It's hidden around the back, and we really should have it in a more prominent position, as is shown in the landscape management plan, right opposite the police station. The intersection that Vic Track land is currently occupies is extremely dangerous. This new works would include roundabout, as I said, the skate park, bus parking and so forth, and would improve the safety of that. Currently at the moment, school buses pull up on that site morning and night to pick kids up. It's quite dangerous, and hopefully no one's been hurt at this stage, but it's certainly not the most ideal place to pick up children. It would also eliminate unkept land right in the heart of town. This has been vacant, this land, since council relinquished the lease to Vic Track in about, the commissioners did it, in 1995. John Gray will probably correct me on that point, but I think since that time it's been relinquished back to Vic Track. It would also have additional car parks, which are in desperate need for the park and also for the RSL. As you're aware, we can't proceed until we've acquired the Vic Track land. It is known that Vic Track land has some environmental issues that are hindering negotiations over future ownership. Council representation has been recently undertaken and took 5 months for the state government to respond, which wasn't terribly good. And again, that had to be followed up on 2 or 3 occasions, so there might be a slight chance to actually move this forward. Previously, we've been in this same position over the last 14 years. 3 times we've made representations to council has and ministers have made representations to Vic Track and got some sort of level of commitment, but really hasn't gone anywhere. It hasn't been given a priority. Meanwhile, the Vic Track land in question remains a blight on the Tatura community, and if it has environmental risk to the community, as it is used for a large community uses, including a school bus stop, is used continually unchecked. In a letter from Ben Needham, General Manager Property, from Vic Track on the 14th of the 1st, 2014, he advised that the site could be used for public open space and a road, and that the risks on the site are small. Right? So they've already indicated that the site is okay for what we want to do. What as again I'll repeat, we want to complete it so that we can enhance our only pristine park, make improvements to road safety, relocation of the skate park to a safer location, and general revitalisation of our business district is clearly wanted and sought for many years. I've been involved in this process since its inception, and I'm most disappointed that the extension of Victoria Park through the acquisition of Vic Track land is again unfunded. There's been negotiations and questions about what costs are involved in this, and they've ranged from $47,000 to $747,000. I think Vic Track think it must be in Burke Street. Completion of the Mactier Park Landscape Master Plan has been on community's #1 priority for 14 years and should be funded accordingly. And I suggest that we make allowance for funds in the 17-18 budget to purchase that land once we have actually negotiated its transfer. But at the end of this, council's got to give this a priority. I understand Peter's made representations. I understand Jeanette Powell made representations. I think Susanna Sheed made some representations in Parliament the other day, right, about this very issue. But we haven't followed it through. Council has not bit the bullet on this one. It is our #1 priority, has been for 14 years. I don't know how much the community has got to do. They write reports, put it in, #1 priority, and you fund something else. We've really got to do this. You know, last year you had a petition, you put lights outside the budget, you put lights around Victoria Park Road. That's a good project, right? But now I don't know how many people signed a petition, maybe 100, 200, 300, 400 or whatever. Well, 3,600 people in Tatura made this their #1 priority through an enormous commitment to do so. So if you can actually, I don't know whether you're going to do it with Sam, you're seeking to go around the minister, to get the Minister to waive some planning issues.
Yeah, 1 minute, Terry.
Right, yeah, good, no worries, I won't need any more than that. But if we put the priority into this, we can do it. So all I'm going to say to you is it is our number one priority. We want to get it funded. I've been associated with it for 14 years. We're getting a bit sick and tired of it. And we need to be able to move it forward. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Terry. Thanks for your time. Any questions, councillors?
Just a quick one, Terry. Your motivation for being here tonight, do you believe council should be doing more, or should we be tackling VicTrack? I know VicTrack in a different way. I know the community, the chair, is very frustrated. We opened the barbecue the other day, and basically if we didn't move on that community plan they've got and jump ahead of the master plan, nothing would happen in that whole area. So there's a couple of things that have happened even though the master plan's happened. So you're suggesting we should tackle VicTrack harder, or what do you actually use?
Oh yeah, it's ministerial level. Look, the surface of this thing's okay. We understand there's some hydrocarbons down below. There used to be a service station on there years ago. And it was just a bit like your service station up where Sam's going to sit, right? Same sort of thing. Ours, the one in Tat leaked. Hopefully yours doesn't leak, right? But, we've got a situation there. So what we've got to do, this can be a waiver. To put what we want in is not a problem. It's if the groundwater at 4 metres or 5 metres depth has got some hydrocarbons in it, it is a simple matter for government to waiver that and accept the consequences if it's gone offside, right? And there's a lot of testing being undertaken, so it's a ministerial tick here to tick this and give the land or some sort of minimum cost to council to move forward on this, from my point of view. You've got to really put the hammer down on this one.
Good. Thanks, Terry. Yep, that's it. Thanks.
Thanks.
Putting the hammer down, though, you wouldn't want to cause a spark, though, would you?
No, well, the level of hydrocarbons won't be a problem. Nothing will blow up. Thank you.
I've heard that said before.
Gordon's got 7 minutes.
So, councillors, we've about 6 or 7 minutes till the next presenter. We won't be adjourning the meeting. We'll be sitting here quietly and waiting.
He's not here. Well, you've been running the meeting. I don't see it as a big issue. There you go. Yeah, not a big issue.
No? Councillors, by my watch, we're very close to the time for the next presentation. So, Rocky D'Agostino, Rocky, you're here to present. Welcome. Nothing can know the drill, Rocky. You have 10 minutes, obviously, and at the 9-minute mark.
I will not take.
You sure?
long.
We're looking forward to it. At the 9-minute mark, there'll be a bell in case you need the last minute.
Not a problem. Is it on?
Yep, go for it.
I'm here to present an objection from the Local Government Association Incorporated, and it's in regard to the Greater Shepparton City Council draft budget for 2017-2018. My name is Rocky D'Agostino, and I have been delegated to present the Association's objection to the councillors at this meeting. The Association refers to the differential rate in section 161, brackets 2, brackets A, brackets I, brackets II of the Local Government Act, and the mandatory obligation that Council has to clearly identify the objectives of the differential rate and distinguish the exact purpose for the differential rate within the area stipulated on page 54 and 57 of the Council's draft document. This will demonstrate how the rates for page 54 and 57 are different between other industrial and commercial areas in the municipal district. The Association has taken advice on the draft budget that shows it does not meet the Australian accountancy standards, which should be based on an open, transparent or accountable document. The Association is therefore unable to fully understand this draft budget and refers the Council to section 3C, brackets 1, brackets E, brackets F and brackets G of the Local Government Act, which supports the Association's objection to this draft budget. The Council states at the bottom of page 44 of its draft budget that the commercial improved one land and industrial improved one land provides funding for the Shepparton Show Me tax, but does not declare the amount in the draft budget document. The Association understands this as a breach of duty of care by Council. The Association has attempted to establish the amount of money that Shepparton Show Me Section 86 Committee will be entrusted with in this financial year draft budget. In doing so, the Association has made a number of assumptions in arriving at a figure below, as the draft budget does not stipulate any amount that the Shepparton Show Me Committee will receive. We begin with commercial improved land 1 and the industrial improved land 1 on page 45 of the draft budget. We use the rateable amount of $9,320,406. We take away the 17% from the 217% rate stipulated on page 54, which leaves $7,735,937. for the commercial improved one land, which leaves $1,584,461 for the Shepparton Show Me campaign. We also started with $3,630,814 for industrial one land. We again take away the stipulated 4% from the 204%, which results in a figure of $3,485,581, which leaves $145,232.50 for the Shepparton Show Me campaign. We've added both those amounts together that equates to $1,729,701.50, which the association understands is the Shepparton Show Me budget allocation. Now, could any councillor indicate if that is the correct figure?
Rocky, we're not here to answer any questions. We're here tonight to listen to your submission.
Okay. Well,
Any questions you need answered for more clarity, you can point to the CEO or make an appointment to get those answers.
okay. Well, on that basis, the association understands that the council would be negligent if it did not include that figure in the budget. It also would be negligent if it did not direct the members of the Section 86 committee to use the taxes, if collected by the council and entrusted to the committee, to carry out the function and duty that is the underlying purpose of the Local Government Act for the differential rate. We request that the council amend the draft budget to accurately represent the requirements of the Local Government Act and the ministerial guidelines in an open, transparent and accountable draft document. That is my submission. Thank you.
Thank you, Rocky. Now, before you leave, any questions, any clarifications needed by any councillors? None? Good. Thanks, Rocky. Thank you. We have about a 5-minute wait, councillors, for the next presenter or submitter.
through the new housing development along Durrangole Road. So council can look at that particular area. As you know, Durrangole Road is being developed, but there is a scope for quite a bit more development along both Durrangole Road and around the surrounds of the township as well. In addition to that, at our most recent meeting, we had received a letter through the Minister for Transport to say that VicTrack has now been directed to deal with council. We have struggled to get anything out of VicTrack in terms of acquiring the land directly opposite Mactier Park on the western side. For those of you that know it, it's just a barren wasteland at the moment. School kids assemble there in the morning to catch buses to school. But it's something that we want to see developed as part of Mactier Park land. At this particular point in time, naturally enough, we don't have an answer out of VicTrack, but we are hoping the council will start to put some funding toward the actual purchase of that land and the development of that land, and we're looking at around about $200,000 if that could be a consideration for budget. One of the things that we have finally achieved through the Minister is that they have been directed to speak with council, which is the first time we've seen any movement from VicTrack at all. That didn't come through VicTrack, that came through the Minister. So if you would certainly keep that one in mind, that'd be fantastic. The other one that we really want to focus in on is the Chittura Museum refurbishment program. Now, for those that don't know, this is one of the most significant collections in Australia, particularly dating back to the Second World War, German and Italian memorabilia and data and so forth from the detention camps. And Chittura Museum is a fabulous museum that houses much of these materials, but they are ageing, and it's very difficult for the volunteers that manage that facility to keep them in a condition whereby they will last a lot longer. The collection is about to be heritage listed, which you may or may not be aware of. And if we're going to have it heritage listed, then we do need to see a significant improvement in the capacity to store those items. There was a typo in the original letter, if you may have seen that from Carl. So the volunteers themselves have raised nearly $80,000 towards this refurbishment of the storage areas and display areas, and we are asking council to please consider another $149,000. Now, the quotes that the Historical Society Chittura Museum Committee have would be very close to the total spend if we put that $80,000 together with the $149,000, but it is getting very close, and it is something that we would ask you to consider, please, when it comes to your future considerations regarding the budget. The thing that I would leave you with, as I said at the beginning, is that we are representational to Chittura. We do a lot of work, we have a lot of discussion around what our key priorities are. It's a fabulous town, but the thing that we feel we must have is that we must be seen to be relevant within the township of Chittura, so that when we have a priority list that we do advertise that, particularly at our Chittura community markets that we have, it's very important that the townspeople see that what we do prioritise and what we do advertise is the direction in which council allocates funds. If we have success in this area, then we're far more likely to recruit more widely, particularly with the new people who've moved, particularly in around the Gulf Estate. We're really doing our best to engage there as well, but as I say, we do represent pretty much all of the groups around the township. If there are any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them. I think what Carl has outlined there in the letter that I did make a slight modification to does spell it out fairly clearly. So without anything else, if there's no other questions, I'll leave you in peace.
Thank you, Vaughan. Any questions or any clarifications sought? No? Thank you, Vaughan. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you to all the presenters and submitters tonight. Thank you for your time and effort in coming forward. So I'm sure councils will consider and no doubt assess what has been heard here tonight. With that, I need a motion from a councillor to resume standing orders. Councillor Osbari. Seconder, please. Councillor Giovanetti. Councillor Osbari, do you wish to speak to it? Councillor Giovanetti, do you wish to speak? No. All in favour of the motion? Against? Motion carried. Now, councillors, on page 7, there is another recommendation that needs to be moved as a motion. I'll read that out. The recommendation is that the council receive and note the written and verbal submissions in response to the public advertisement of the 2017-2018 draft budget and draft rating strategy 2017 to 2021, formally consider all received submissions and the adoption of the 2017-2018 budget and rating strategy 2017 to 2021 at the ordinary council meeting to be held on Tuesday 20th of June 2017 at 5:30 p.m. in the council boardroom. Councillor Hazelman, would you like?
I'll move the recommendation as you read it, Mr Mayor, with the addition of point 3 and that all submitters be thanked for their contribution.